Welcome in Tar Heel Nation. This is the Tar Heel Herald. Before we get into today's discussion, remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Really helps the channel grow. Hit that notification bell. And if you know any Tar Heels, think about giving them a share. Alright guys, let's ram into it. Now the defense is going to be a fun one to watch as we go along here through the spring and the summer and the fall. Just to sit back and watch through a lens to see how it progresses, because we finally got depth, and we got depth in almost every position, and hopefully we can continue to keep the depth. But it's going to be interesting to see how this defense lines up. The reason being is because a lot of people are going to be changing positions. You got Tamari Fox is going to go to more true edge position. We're going to see the edge really be utilized in a better way more, due to the fact that we have more defensive linemen, not just defensive linemen as a group, but the fact that we have a ton of guys now who are more capable of withstanding the interior. And just the fact that they say we have 10 guys over 280, but if you look at this, most guys are over 290. So that's great. The defensive line is coming along fantastic. But there's a lot of young guys, so there's going to be a lot of miscues. It's going to be a little interesting to see how it's going to fare at the beginning of the year. But so far, it's looking fantastic. Some standouts so far. Javari Ritzy, as a incoming freshman, has been looking fantastic, according to the staff. Keyshawn, another freshman coming in. Both of them were highly touted, so any praise coming out of these guys in year one is not going to be unwarranted. So we expect it, but we don't expect it, basically. But Keyshawn has been talked about a little bit, but mostly for the fact that he's been gaining quite a few pounds. He committed at 250, came into the program around, I think they said 275 or something like that, 280. And eventually they got him up to 306. So he gained around 55 pounds in a short span of, what, 3 to 5 months or something like that. It may take a little bit longer than Ritzy for Keyshawn to get fully going in the system, because he's still trying to get used to his body right now. But other notable players on the line is Kendrick Bingley-Jones, redshirt freshman. He didn't play more than 4 games last year, so he got to medical redshirt because he was hurt. You got Clyde, Pender, and Miles Murphy, who were hurt last year, but also played after their injuries. Miles Murphy with a club. I think Clyde Pender had a club here at one point, but I don't know if he played with the club, but Miles Murphy did. But they got some good playing time at the end of the year, both of them standing out. So right now, of young guys, we have 5 young guys looking pretty good, so that's great. And then we have Tamari Fox, Jaleel Taylor, Ray Vahasek, and Zach Gill as our veterans coming back. Notably, Tamari Fox. The fact that Tamari Fox has never had a spring, 1, he's a junior, 2, and the fact that he probably knows this system so well, he is getting the one-on-ones, which Mac Brown talked about this a little bit. Guys like Tamari Fox, Tyrone Hopper, Jeremiah Gemmell, all the old heads who know the system are going to be getting one-on-ones and letting the younger guys get reps in these scrimmages to get the grasp of the defense. So these guys are working on their craft very hard. So I'm very intrigued of where Tamari Fox ends up this year, because obviously we know Tamari Fox is one of the best on the defense, and he's returning, and he gets to be in his true position of edge this year. So I can't wait to see those numbers. But Tamari Fox, being the younger brother, has already showed potential, and the fact that he gets a full spring and probably a lot of one-on-ones this year, just mastering his craft, I expect Tamari to probably lead this. Obviously, I don't know if he's going to be leading the defense this year, but he'll probably be leading this defensive line, that's for sure. And then the last one I got to talk about is a notable one that it threw me off guard a little bit. They said Kevin Hester Jr. is looking pretty good. So to the extent of how good, I'm not sure. But, whenever they throw out a name, you take it at face value because normally these guys are telling you exactly what you need to know. And if they say Kevin Hester Jr.'s proven some things, I mean, he came in 2019, but they got him as a sophomore, so I'm assuming he's a redshirt sophomore. But 6'3", 305 as a redshirt sophomore. Can't wait to see if he can, if he's a starter or just a depth guy. But fantastic to see that he's doing some things. But with the fact that we got this defensive line, so I'm not going to say stacked, but it's definitely got some depth now. We're just hoping for the young guys to step up this year. But with the fact that we have all these big bodies, we can finally see the edge rushers and Jay Bateman muster up some plays for these edge rushers and utilize them to their best of their abilities because, Tamari Fox was not utilized last year to the best of his abilities. He was utilized as basically as a pure defensive end, and the only times he got outside linebacker / edge time is when, he had Zach Gill, Reva Hassick, Jaleel Taylor, Tamari, all of those guys in there. Maybe even some young guys. Like, they had to have a whole bunch of defensive linemen in there in order for him to be an edge rusher. So now, the fact that we don't have to just throw as many bodies as we can in there in order for him to do that, with that, Tamari Fox is going to work. He's going to be able to step up and fully thrive in this system. And I'm sure Jay Bateman is going to allow him to do so. Especially, I mean, he's got so much experience. There's so many snaps. He probably has the most snaps. He definitely. I remember them talking about this. I think he's got over 1,000 snaps at this program. So. But anyways, and it's not just him. He's got Desmond Evans, Chris Collins, Kamen Rucker, Tyrone Hopper. I'm super excited to see Kamen Rucker and Desmond Evans as sophomores because they're going to be the future of these edge rushers, and they're already looking fantastic, especially Kamen Rucker. Of course, Desmond Evans comes in as our number one guy in the class. Well, technically Tony Grimes did, but Desmond Evans comes in as number one, and Kamen Rucker comes in as, I think he was in the bottom three, at least as their star rating. But Kamen Rucker shows out. He's continuing to get snaps, more and more snaps. He's looking great. The staff loves him. So I would continue to look at Kamen Rucker and Desmond Evans into the future. But you got Tamari Fox and Tyrone Hopper going to be leading those guys. The staff loves Tyrone Hopper. They'll trust him with anything. But then, the easy guys, this is the easiest one, is the linebackers. You got Eugene, Asante, and Jeremiah Gemmell. I mean, obviously, Eugene Asante has to pick up for Chaz Surratt. But there's a lot of similarities. There's not a lot of drop-off. Yes, there probably will be a little bit just for the fact that he doesn't have much experience, which neither did Chaz in 2019, and you can see that. So, but he's also been behind Chaz the entire time, watching every move. So you can see a lot of similarities, and that's because he was mirroring him for a long time. And then you got Jeremiah Gemmell, and what you see is what you get. I mean, Jeremiah Gemmell is going to be a leader. He's going to be vocal. He's going to run this defense for us, and he's just going to be as good as we've had him. I don't know. I think he may be at his ceiling. We'll have to see. I'm obviously not going to say that he is at his ceiling, but it just seems that way. but his ceiling is good enough for me. I mean, he's a fantastic leader of this defense. The linebacking group, yeah, it's not the deepest, but the fact that we don't really know about the freshmen quite yet. I mean, Power Echols apparently has been looking great. He's already a big body, a very, very fast 5'11", 220. But unfortunately, he's still trying to gain some weight. He's still trying to get big. He plays like a big boy already, but they still want him to at least get a few more pounds on him, and it's going to take him a little time. Just kind of like Keyshawn Silver, it's going to take him a little time to get used to the weight and apply it to his abilities. So, I'm probably most excited about this secondary, more specific the cornerbacks, but as a group, I like them a little bit more than the front seven, just for the fact that there's a lot of continuity going on with this group. I mean, no one left. I mean, of course, Chaz Surratt left the linebackers, and that's the only one of the front seven to do that. But there's still a lot of questions there, unlike the secondary. You got Tony Grimes, who we're just waiting, and whether or not this is his year to start getting all the accolades and all the awards, I don't know, but he's going to eventually. And I think we're just here for the ride. I don't think we have to really say much more. And then you got Kyler McMichael. He's, until further notice, now, I have this feeling that if Storm Duck is healthy and comes back and, consumes that starting role, if he is 100% healthy, then I'd like to see Kyler McMichael, although he's probably going to do a lot of cornerback, especially if he is the backup, he's going to be getting these guys fresh, because there's not much of a drop off from the starters to Kyler McMichael if he is the backup. So, but I would like him to get a lot of nickelback. But as of right now, because of Storm Duck being out, Kyler McMichael is clearly a starter with Obi Egbuna and Dede Hollins behind both of those guys. And as of right now, we have Jaquarius Conley in the nickelback, which I would love to see him get to go back to safety, let Kyler McMichael be nickelback, and obviously Jaquarius Conley switch back and forth, but I would like to see Jaquarius get to be that safety more often than not. But safety is still in good hands with Don Chapman and Trey Morrison. On the defensive side of the ball, this is probably the oldest pair. Don Chapman's going into his junior year, and Trey Morrison his senior year. So, well, I guess that's the same as the linebackers. But, I mean, there's a lot of veterans here. There really is a lot of good mix of veterans versus young talent. So, but it's a trustworthy secondary with Don Chapman and Trey Morrison. And then, of course, you have some great backups with Cameron Kelly, Giovanni Biggers, Welton Spotsville, Cameron Roseman Sinclair. Can't wait to see if he finally steps into his shoes. I've heard some good things this spring, so we'll have to see at the end of the spring if he really is pushing towards a backup role, because, of course, you got Cameron Kelly and Giovanni Biggers. That's a little bit harder to pass if you didn't get much talk about the first year. So you got some. I mean, I haven't even really talked about the freshmen at all. You got DeAndre Boykins, who's looked at to be the nickelback guy. Dontavius Nash is another safety. Both of those guys came in early. And then you have Dante Balfour, who was our last commitment in the 2021 class. And then Tamir Brown were both cornerbacks. But they are showing up late. I'm interested to see what Jay Bateman does with this entire group. So far, the spring has looked very great for this defense. I mean, it's looked great as a whole. I didn't think there was going to be any types of drop off. I think everyone, well, maybe in the offense, but especially in this defense, I think all we can go is up with all these additions. I don't think there's any possible way we can go down. So, just going through the spring, it's good to have any news about what the future is of this defense. And the defensive line is what everyone was questioning, and we're getting great news from the defensive line so far. So I think a lot of us could go take a deep breath, say that the defensive line is here, big, mix of veteran versus young. So a lot of good things that are coming with this defense. It's going to help out everybody else on the defense with the fact that we can get some more QB pressures, clog up the holes on the run game. Just having big bodies down here just helps tremendously, even if it's the fact that you'd rather almost have big bodies than talent alone, and we didn't even have big bodies or talent. So the fact that we're getting both of them this year is some kind of spectacle. So soak it in. I don't think we're done with all the good news coming in from this defensive line, but I'm curious to see if we see any young guys pop up in the linebacking group or secondary. I don't know if we will, just for the fact that, obviously we had Chaz leave in the linebacking group, but we already had a great guy in Eugene Asante ready to step up. So it's going to be tough for these young guys to get out in the field, but I'd be interested to see if anyone does. But Jay Bateman is going to have a good time with this defense, and I can't wait to see how this fares out through the rest of the spring. I'll definitely keep you updated, see if anyone else starts to step up in this defense. But there's a lot of name guys, a lot of names. There's still more back there. I obviously didn't name everyone on the defense. There's clearly some people that could step up, especially like the offense. There's some wide receivers that I didn't know were stepping up, apparently like Steven Gosnell. So we can have some people step up, especially like in the linebacking group, or, even Kevin Hester Jr., people like that. Just randomly come out of nowhere. Redshirt sophomore, came out as an 85 3-star. So we're only halfway there through the spring. Defense is looking great so far. But that's going to be it for this one, guys. And remember to hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and if you know any Tar Heels, don't forget to leave them a share.